Okay, Chair, we're live on YouTube, so I'll hand over to you to start the meeting.
Thank you very much. Good morning and welcome to the meeting of the Placemaking in Exmouth Town and Seafront Group on the 14th of March 2023. I am your chair, Councillor Nick Hookway. I would also like to welcome anyone watching the meeting via the live streaming. The meeting can be viewed online and will be recorded. Please bear this in mind throughout the meeting. Therefore, may I remind colleagues to be careful with their language and that the code of conduct applies throughout our meeting. We reserve the right to remove and disconnect any participant disrupting the meeting by whatever means. As this meeting is dependent upon internet connection and a power supply, in the event of a break in the internet connection or a power cut, please bear with us as we try to reconnect. If we are not able to reconnect after 15 minutes, this meeting will be adjourned and reconvened at a later date. Please check the committee page of our website for further details. Could colleagues please ensure that microphones are muted when you are not speaking? This will help avoid any disturbance and background noise. Could you also keep your points short and not interrupt someone else when someone else is speaking? Should you wish to comment, please raise your electronic hand and wait to be called. All councillors have been sent the agenda for today's meeting. Any members of the public can view the agenda by visiting our website on www.eastdevon.gov.uk. We will now start the meeting by doing a roll call of committee members here present. Can you please now unmute your microphone, and when you hear your name, please confirm by saying present. When you've confirmed you're present, please mute your microphone again. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. So we'll start with yourself, please, Councillor Hookway.
Present, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hayward. Councillor Rowland, please.
Present, thanks, Sarah.
Thank you. Councillor Armstrong. Councillor Coleman. Councillor Davey.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Desarim.
Present, thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. Councillor Whibley. Councillor Chris Wright.
Present.
Thank you. And from Exmouth Town Council, Councillor Aurora Bailey, please.
Present, thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. And Councillor Gazzard.
Present, thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Right, that's one. Yes, I confirm that we are quorum then. Thank you very much. So agenda item 1, public speaking. There is one member of the public wishes to speak, Mr. Graham Deasy, the Vice Chair of the Exmouth Community Association. Welcome, Graham. You have 3 minutes to speak, and you'll be given a 30-second reminder towards the end. Okay, thank you, Graham.
Thank you, Chair. Exmouth Community Association have a strong and very active interest in the process of the placemaking programme. And as a town, we are very keen that the consultants will deliver a bold strategy and hope that this opportunity will not be missed and continue to make Exmouth a destination for tourists and holidaymakers, day and evening visitors, and hopefully it will remain a desirable place to live. The 2021 EDDC Public Toilet Review primarily reviewed the existing provision of loos, and understandably a cost-cutting exercise rather than perhaps an investment exercise. And I'd like just to concentrate this next couple of minutes really to concentrate on the matter of the toilet provision on the Exmouth Seafront. Their Sideshaw recently proposed to put in 5-pay toilets on their site, but I think that has now been put on the back burners for the time being at least, and we're not quite sure if that provision will go ahead, which is going to leave a bit of a shortfall. So we're left really looking at the seafront. If you're coming from the marina end, there's quite a long walk, if you like, from Imperial Wreck, where the nearest loos are, to the marina, along to the old lifeboat station. It's about a mile, just over a mile walk between the two. And then obviously to the east with Orcombe, the toilet block along the Orcombe seafront there. Its future is unknown currently. It is open obviously during the season at the moment, and that's appreciated. But I think there are concerns that it may not remain as toilets, and therefore it's a very long haul again from Orcombe to the Foxholes car park. That again is the best part of a mile. And what I think one of the things the placemaking survey showed recently is that there were a large number of visitors, over a third that were in the over 65 category, and a significant proportion, I don't have the figure, of young family aged visitors. And as we all know, that it's quite important, I think, to have loo provision fairly much on hand for particularly those two categories. And I'm speaking from personal experience here. I think that we all know, I mean, I was a consultant in sports, leisure and tourism, that the key issues for people when they're visiting anywhere, venue, is car parking and transport, such an important part, cleanliness, and toilet and refreshment provision are actually the three main
30 seconds
factors,
remaining.
three key factors for people's satisfaction. And so we're very keen that the consultants and council identify how best to finance investment in the public loos, particularly on the seafront, with disabled loos and possibly shower facilities for use by beach users and visitors. We'd just like to emphasise that point as you take this process forward. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Graham. That's a very upside point. I've got two hands raised at the present time. One from outside the committee, which is Councillor Jeff Young. Jeff, please.
Thank you, Chair, for allowing me to speak. As portfolio holder responsible for the toilet review, just to remind members that it's not a cost-cutting exercise as such. We are preparing to spend £3 million on rebuilding or remodifying most of our loos. Some we are closing, yes, that's right, but we are looking at putting the right loos in the right place. Obviously, most of the loos are getting very ancient. They need a lot of repair. They need a lot of cleaning because they're getting old. We are looking at making sure that all the loos are suitable for disabled. We're providing within East Devon 4 sets of loos that will have changing places for adult disabled people, which we've got a grant from government to do that. So it's not correct that we are just reviewing the loos because of cost cutting. It's more a reinvention of what we want to do with the loos. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you, Jeff, for that. I've got 3 other speakers who I shall call in this order: Councillor Armstrong, Councillor Gazzard and Councillor De Sarum. So Councillor Armstrong, Megan, please.
Oh, thank you, Chair. It's only just to say that I was a couple of minutes late joining. I didn't call out my name, so I just wanted to check that you got me down.
Yes, we've got you down now. Okay, thank you very much.
All right,
indeed.
that's all. Thank you very much.
Okay. Councillor Gazzard, Steve.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. As the issues of the toilets have been raised, I'd just like to ask a question. Along the seafront, we've heard what's happened with Orcombe Point Cafe, Orcombe Point toilets. Is it the intention of the council that the other people that put in tenders for that toilet are going to be asked if they'd like to take it on? Because I think, as the public speaker has said, it's essential that there is a toilet down near Orcombe Point. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And Councillor De Sarum.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. I'd just like to touch on the Jarvis Close toilets, which are in our ward. I appreciate they've been closed for a long time. And as the Mayor will appreciate, Councillor Gazzard will appreciate, as a Town Councillor, I have pressed to have something happen to the toilets at Jarvis Close. And I know that you suggest at Cabinet that there may be housing put on there, but I would suggest that we do see what we could do for the toilets at Jarvis Close, as clearly our public speaker today indicated how they are very important for the town, and we must take a bold strategy with regard to placemaking within Exmouth. And I believe that if we could have a review of what could happen to Jarvis Close, I think our residents might appreciate that because it is possible to use them. Thank you very much for your time, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor De Sarum. Tim Chard, you've got a response for us, please. Tim, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to come back in on Councillor Gazzard's comments about Orcombe Point. So just to be really clear, so Orcombe Point, we marketed last summer, seeking a new provider to provide a continuing publicly accessible toilet provision together with repurposing of the remainder of the building. So through the work that we did for the toilet review over the last couple of years, we've identified that actually what the public want is clean, well-maintained cubicles, ideally directly accessed from the streets, from the frontage, rather than lots and lots and lots of cubicles that are probably sat not particularly heavily used and need a lot of investment, as was touched on by Councillor Young earlier. So yeah, we marketed it. We had a number of really, really good offers. Through officers and members, we made a decision following quite an extensive scoring criteria that we would proceed with one particular offer. And that is the offer that we're progressing at the moment through solicitors. So that is progressing. The reality is that new party taking on that site is not going to be in a position to have the site being used and the toilets open, ready for the beginning of this season. And for this site and other sites that were already open during the winter, we have agreed to through an existing budget to keep those toilets open for the summer season. So really, I just wanted, Graham, just to give you a bit of sort of comfort regarding, so Orcombe Point you mentioned in particular, I can confirm that there is an ongoing publicly accessible toilet provision for that particular site. And then the Mayor, another site along the seafront, slightly back, but along the seafront, exactly the same scenario. So again, we are working through the legals with a new tenant who will provide a publicly accessible toilet provision and repurposing of the remainder. So assuming both those transactions conclude over the next couple of months, which we're expecting, then those two sites, as I said, I can confirm will have a publicly accessible toilet provision. So hopefully that sort of that puts your mind puts your mind at ease in respect to those two sites.
Okay, thank you very much indeed, Tim. That's very reassuring news. Right, okay. And certainly looking forward to some nice, clean, modern toilets as well, personally speaking, of course. Right, so moving on to agenda item. Oh, by the way, thank you so much, Graham, for your contribution. Also, moving on now to agenda item 2, minutes of the previous meetings held on the 10th of October 2022 and the 13th of December 2022. Do any members of the committee have comments on the minutes of these previous meetings held on the 10th and the 13th of December 2022? If so, please raise your electronic hand. If there are no hands raised, I will take it that you're happy with the minutes and that we are minutes can be received and noted. Right, I see no hands raised at all, so those minutes are received and noted. Thank you. Right, agenda item 3, apologies. Sarah, do we have any apologies, please?
Yes, so we have apologies from Councillor Taylor, Councillor Ledger, and Councillor Arnott will be joining us late.
Okay, thank you very much. So agenda item 4, declarations of interest. This will be done by roll call when your name is called, and mindful of the new code of conduct. Please state your declaration, including which agenda item your declaration relates to, stating what exactly the interest is and the specific type of interest you are declaring. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. Councillor Hookway?
None, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Rowland, please.
None, Sarah. Can I just
Thank
point
you.
out as well, when we were asking the attendance, I noticed that Councillor Coleman's actually joined us since the meeting started.
Oh,
in case they hadn't been noted. Thank
Lovely,
you.
thank you. Thank you.
oh yes, sir.
Councillor Armstrong, please.
None, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Coleman. Councillor Coleman.
Sorry, I've had problems with technical. No, nothing.
Thank you. Councillor Davey, please.
Nothing to declare, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Desaram.
It affects non-RI Exmouth Town Councillor.
Thank you. Councillor Chris Wright, please.
None. Thank you.
Thank you. And from Exmouth Town Council, Councillor Aurora Bailey.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. And Councillor Gazzard.
Just nodding effects as NRI as I'm an Exmouth Town Councillor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll pass back to you, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. Right, agenda item 5, progress update on placemaking in Exmouth, pages 11 to 13 on the papers. I will hand over to Jerry Mills to present the update. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Sarah. Folks, quite a short report. Just I'll take you through it item by item. So the leases for the concessions at Queen's Drive have been progressed by the estates team and also legal services. We now have 3 of them returned signed, and we're chasing the remaining 2. So that's a great achievement given the delays that we had last year and the fact that we didn't actually have everything just in place on time for starting. So well done to everybody there. Planning consent for the fitness area at Queen's Drive, which expires in July 2023, has now been submitted via the planning portal, and our colleagues in legal services are now progressing the lease with LED. In regard to the event space, this was marketed again, Chair, as agreed, to see if we could attract a reliable operator, and reliability has been the challenge here in previous years, as I'm sure everybody will recall. What we opted for was either someone to take the events pitch for the whole season or just for the summer holidays. And at the close of play in December, on the 6th of December, we had no interest. Some further marketing has been carried out on social media, but again, there's been little or no interest, bearing in mind, Chair, and it's crucial that we must be compliant with the planning consent conditions which are on the site. In respect of car park signage, I appreciate this is taking quite a long time, but we have identified the location. Richard has sent the wording, etc., to county. We're just waiting for them to come back and confirm. In regard to the Strand, the planning application for the Strand's table and chairs has been submitted again via the planning portal. The current permission expires in September 2023. So we're really trying to get ahead of the curve here, Chair, by submitting these applications in a timely fashion. Colleagues in legal services have forwarded the leases to the stakeholders on the 30th of January, and to date, 2 were returned. Unfortunately, they were not witnessed or signed correctly, so we've had to chase those back the ways, which again takes up time and resources, which are precious. We currently have 2 returned, completed and witnessed correctly, and 1 outstanding. We've been advised that the mural on the rear of the wall of the pavilion, which we went to considerable trouble to get approvals in place last August, has not commenced and is not likely to commence until April of this year, that's 2023. Chair, perhaps remiss of me not to have spoken up earlier, but could I welcome Ashley Dunseith from WSP as our guest. Ashley, you're very welcome. Great to see you. Just to update members, so we carried out a desktop exercise using the Crown Commercial Framework. We're supported by colleagues in Devon County Council. We're pleased to advise that we plan to appoint WSP to take forward the placemaking plan for Exmouth Town and Seafront. Is subject to contract and a pre-commencement meeting, which we hope to actually have all resolved this week. Ashley, you just want to say hello to everyone there?
I would indeed. Thank you, Jerry. Good morning, everybody. Very good to meet you, albeit virtually. Hopefully not too long until we all get to meet in person. I'm in listening mode. I'm in observing mode, having plenty of conversations with Jerry, and looking forward to the inception meeting and being able to meet you on site and hear from your perspective, in addition to that I'm picking up very loud and clear. As part of the placemaking plan and our strategy to be bold with our strategy. I heard that first thing as well, so I've picked up on that. But look forward. Thanks, Jerry.
Okay, Ashley, thank you for that. Chair, just I go on to just remind members of the key milestones, and I think making this appointment is a huge milestone for us all. But I set out there the various provisional dates. We will, of course, refine these with Ashley and the team as we go forward, but we would be hopeful of bringing something to the placemaking group in post the elections. So I would imagine it will be June, July, certainly approaching the summer period. So that will be a good meeting for us all to take part in. Chair, just next on the report is the levelling up bid. Bid, as you'll recall, was led by colleagues in Devon County Council and has been successful. We've secured 15.8 million for the road at Dinan Way and the destination Exmouth / Gateway project. We're still awaiting a letter of offer, and we're working in support of our colleagues in the county council. Just to give the breakdown, the money sought was 13 million for the road at Dinan Way and 2.5 million for the gateway. We've had an initial inception meeting with the Department for Transport. The first steps were to mobilise the project teams, and briefs for this have been issued by county. For Dinan Way, county are commencing the land assembly in the first instance and have instructed their land agents. For the Exmouth Gateway, the initial task will be to confirm the designs before commencing a public consultation. We will also need to review our stakeholder list, as we now have a substantially wider stakeholder list thanks to the consultation that we took to the public in the summer. Just to reiterate, Chair, there will be a public consultation on the design. There will also be the statutory consultation through the planning process. So there'll be plenty of opportunity for people to have their say. Chair, I have nothing further to add. Always happy, of course, to take questions.
Right, thank you very much indeed, Jerry. That's a very comprehensive and interesting report. Okay, I've got 4 speakers now. Let me see. Right, so I'm going to start with Councillor Davey, then go to Councillor Rowland, Councillor Desarum, Councillor Gazzard, and then Councillor Armstrong. So, Councillor Davey, Ollie.
I see Councillor Bailey has her hand up as well, Nick.
Oh, thank you. Yes, thank you. I had missed that. Thank you.
Yeah, it was just to ask Jerry about the pitches at Queen's Drive. Assuming all the leases are returned, will we have full occupancy there? Are we looking at a full slate there, as it were? And the event space, I mean, what sort of offer were we looking for there? And has any discussion taken place with Sideshaw, perhaps with a view to putting on events there? I'm just not clear what kind of events we were looking for there. And why we're struggling to find a provider for that, and as an alternative, whether it's worth just marketing it ourselves for one-off events. Perhaps you could fill in a bit more about the plans for the event space, Jerry, and just confirm that we've got that full occupancy of pitches. Thanks.
Chair, happy to come back on that. Yes, Ollie, we will have all 5 of the concessions will be let, plus the fitness space. The issue with the event space has been reliability of the operator. Previous operators have been essentially fairground rides, fairground type attractions. And you'll recall last year that we had multiple promises from the operator, who showed up extremely late and then disappeared after, I think it was 2 weeks. So what the events team have done is, initially we were looking for, and I stress, a reliable operator, and we really didn't get anything satisfactory coming forward. So it's been promoted again as a venue for events, so we could put together, if you like, a bit like what happens at the Strand. So interested parties would come along and do events. So that's the basis of the current promotion, which Street Scene have engaged in. I just wasn't able to get speaking to Caitlin this morning, because she goes to college on a Tuesday, so I can't actually give you an update, but I'm happy to send out an email to that effect once I know better what's happening. Does that help, Ollie? Brilliant, thank you.
Yes, if I can just come back on that, because the events team comes under my portfolio. There has been a considerable effort by the events team to market the event space at the back of the fun park area to no avail. There are just nobody's biting for it at the moment. There are all sorts of reasons for that, I expect, but it's disappointing. But there it is. Okay, so thank you, Councillor Rowland. Jack.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Jerry, as ever, for your report. I just wanted to ask, and forgive me to start with if I'm asking a question where Exmouth-based councillors are a lot closer to this, because I live at the other end of the district, so your local knowledge may be greater than mine. But I seem to recall we had a very compelling pitch from the Exmouth beach volleyball team representative some time ago, and they were very keen to try and find provision for them along the seafront somewhere. I just wondered if any further discussions had taken place with them, or where we might be with that.
Okay. In all honesty, Jack, once that was raised by I think one person at the consultation, I haven't progressed that discussion any further. The beach volleyball effectively has to take place on sand. Which would make the event space pretty much unsuitable unless we were to rejig it, that is, excavate some of the work and provide a dedicated space for beach volleyball. I'm a wee bit reluctant to go down that route because I think that would be preemptive of the work that Ashley is going to be doing for us. And the other thing is that if I was going to put in a games area, I think I'd be inclined, this personal view and based on fairly extensive experience of doing this, I would want to put in something more like a multi-use games area type of facility. So something that could include, for example, could be five-a-side soccer, it could be basketball, netball, it could be any one of a range of facilities. The other thing to bear in mind is that there is an enormous amount of competition or competitive requests, perhaps I should say. One of the people that came forward in the consultation also requested a pitch for pétanque, which is a French form of bowls, for want of a better term. And again, to provide a dedicated space on the seafront just for pétanque, I think again, don't wish to preempt the outcome of Ashley's work, but I think I'd still be veering towards something that would have wider appeal for multiple users rather than single use, because they would be occupying a very, very valuable piece of land there. So in answer to your question, Jack, I haven't had direct discussion about volleyball. Tim maybe wanted to come in there because he obviously has had involvement prior to me. So maybe Chair, with your permission, Tim.
Tim, yes,
Thank you. I put my hand up before Jerry spoke, and I must admit Jerry has said pretty much everything I was going to say about not wanting to preempt the work that Ashley and the professional team will be doing. The only bit that I would add, which probably comes from my involvement prior to Jerry's, is when we heard from the beach basketball group, the investment needed was quite significant. And there were opportunities they suggested of getting the funding through the various sports groups. I can't remember if it's Sport England or a specific one to beach volleyball, but to secure that funding, it needed to be on a long-term basis rather than just for a year or two. So when we spoke to them before, that there was potentially an opportunity for something on an interim basis just for a year or two. However, they were pushing for something much more permanent. So for all the reasons that Jerry has said, I would suggest that, yes, it won't be disregarded. It will be considered within the mix, but nothing more, nothing less. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Very helpful. Okay, right. So next on my list is Councillor Desarum. Bruce.
Well, thank you very much, Chair, and very good to see you yesterday, Jerry, on asset management, along with yourself, Chair, giving your thoughts on that. So obviously, I will ask a slightly different question this morning, so I don't want to repeat that. I'm concerned about the use of the fitness space. Do you believe that LED can actually make a great success of it this year? Because obviously that's another area, just like events that you've touched on, that clearly we as a steering group need to get the best value for money from the council's point of view, as well as provide the leisure that we need. So I just wondered whether, Jerry, you have any thoughts on how the fitness space is going to work out this year based on the deal that we're going to strike with the LED. Thank you very much.
Certainly, Chair, just to come back, Bruce, yes, we have the heads of terms which our colleagues in legal have issued. My understanding is that they have been accepted. We're just working towards the lease. LED have to gear up for opening in the is it the 8th? The weekend of the 8th is Easter weekend, 8th of April. So my view of it is all systems are go. I don't see any reason and haven't heard anything to the contrary from our colleagues in LED. So yes, we're very keen for that to proceed. We have we're working towards offering them a lease of 2 years. just depending on the progress that we make with the master plan, and obviously accessing budgets, so that we're not left trying to scramble around and provide leases this time next year for the same thing. So yeah, I've a great belief that this is going to take place, and to be pleased to see it happening.
Okay, yes, thank you, Councillor Sam. I will refer you to my answer that when we talked about this issue on scrutiny last Thursday, because we did take some time to talk about that. I think it's important that the fitness space is there because it was put there at the time when we had social distancing as due to the pandemic, and we still have to think about the effects of the pandemic, even though it's now over 3 years old. It's still with us. And I think it's important that we have a nice space there, and we look forward to it being successful with LED this summer. I certainly do anyway. Right, okay. Okay, thanks so much. That moving on, Councillor Gazzard, Steve.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Jerry, for your report. A very, very good report and easily to read. Thank you very much. I've just got a couple of questions. Queen's Drive, I've noticed that one of the storage huts has got tarpaulin over it. Is that going to be fixed in time for the April the 1st opening? And has any work been done on the dinosaur park? Has anybody been round to have a look to see what needs tarting up, for a better word, and nails removed and maybe new planks put in various parts? And finally, the levelling up fund, item 1.9. I'm disappointed really that it says it's been led by Devon County Council, which I agree with. It's just, I thought it would have been nice if it had also been put in conjunction with East Devon District Council and Exmouth Town Council, because it's a tri-party application. So that's just a thought of mine. Thank you.
Okay, Chair, happy to come back on that. Steve, in answer to your question about the tarpaulin, yeah, so George's team has programmed in the roof repair to refelt that for March, so that should be resolved in time for opening on the 1st of April. In terms of work on the dinosaur park, that falls to our colleagues in street scene, as I understand it, and I'm not aware of what their current inspection regime is, but I can get that from Andrew and feed that information back if that helps at this point in time. And in regard to levelling up, it is of course three-way, because there's match funding from both Town Council and East Devon, as well as from the County Council. But in this instance, Devon County Council are the lead body. So the only reason for placing that emphasis is that people come and ask, can I do this? Can I do that? Will levelling up include this? Well, the lead has to make those submissions and then go to consultation on those. You'll recall, Chair, that the roadway already has planning consent. The gateway, again, just to reiterate, there will be two opportunities for consultation, one at the design stage and one from a statutory point of view when it goes to planning. So should be ample opportunity there for engagement, but absolutely it's a three-way, just to stress that. Steve, you happy enough? Very good.
Yes, thank you, Chair. But if you could send the answers to all the members on the panel so that they've got it rather than just sending it to me, or put it in the notes, whichever is easier for you, Jerry. Thank you.
Many thanks, Steve.
Right, okay, thank you very much, Councillor Gazzard. I go over to Councillor Megan Armstrong. Megan.
Oh, thank you, Chair, thanks. I've got a couple of questions. One is relating to Jerry's report on the draft key milestones. Why is the feedback still delayed? Why is it yellow, please?
Okay, so that is just advising you that we did have a delay. Okay, that's the only reason. It's so that you can track the progress. So we have recovered that time period and the rest are all green. So we're confident of being able to deliver those, but I don't change where there's been a delay. I don't change that.
Okay.
It's just so that members are aware that we do have slippage on occasion in terms of time scales.
Right.
That's simply the reason.
Well, just to have explained that, because it looks to me as if it's just not been done yet.
Okay, so I can amend that.
It's just the wording, I think, probably just needs to be, you know, in brackets afterwards saying now been completed or something.
No
and
problem.
then the other thing I want to ask you is, what will WSP actually be doing? What's their purpose and the costs? And I just wonder whether, and I know I know Jerry doesn't want to look back at the past, but some of us do like to learn from the past. And I just wonder whether the survey that I did in 2015, which I did send on to you, Jerry, quite a while ago now, and I never got any response from you about whether you thought it was a good report, bad report, or indifferent. I just wondered whether that and any other sort of historical documents would be given to WSP to take into account, because there was very strong feeling from that survey that I did of what was there at the time. I realise it's nearly 8 years ago, but some of it is still very relevant. And I just wanted to know whether that information will be taken into account by WSP. But apart from that, I'd just like to reiterate, what will they be doing? And you probably can't say in detail, but just overall, what's the purpose and how much is it costing us, please? Thank you.
So, Chair, as provided previously, the budget for the placemaking plan is just under 150,000. We have an overall budget of 160,000, as you're aware, but we always leave a little bit of wriggle room because things inevitably will come up that we will require additional expenditure there. What's the purpose of the appointment for WSP? Well, it's really very straightforward. Where we need to get to, Chair, is an aligned position, that is where the placemaking group and the aims of the council merge or coalesce to become common goals, because previously there wasn't an agreed position on that. I have tried not to be preemptive in all of the work that I've done in terms of saying, well, this is what placemaking will look like going forward. This is what will take place in Exmouth. We're leaving that to the professionals, which is what we agreed to. And that was part of the overall agreement, which you agreed to as a group back in October. In terms of source documents, I provided WSP with all of the council commissioned reports dating right back to the master plan, current environmental or zero carbon plan, and all of the council-based sourced reports, tourism, culture, and all of the things that will contribute to placemaking. In terms of historic documents, I think, to be fair, Ashley, I think I spent quite a considerable bit of time with him, and I painted the picture as it is, not through rose-tinted spectacles or anything close to that. We told WSP, as we told all of the applicants, exactly where we were, what the historic context was, and how we had gotten to the decision to make this appointment. And that, again, is something that has been taken through the group, through the placemaking group, with, I hope, very clear transparency all the way through. Chair, I'm happy for Megan to come back with your permission.
Yes, of course. Megan, did you want to come back to Jerry there?
Yeah, so my report, sorry to bang on about it so much, but have you actually read it, and did you gain anything from it? And will that historical document, which I did as a councillor, will that be part of those documents as well? I'm sorry, but I just need to know whether I wasted my time 8 years ago, basically.
I have read the document. It is not a council commission document, as I understand it. Is one that you did yourself.
Yes, as a councillor.
Yes, but it wasn't a commission by East Devon District Council. Is that correct?
Yeah. Does that make a difference?
It would, in my view, because it's never been adopted by the council as a report. On that basis.
No, like what it said. They didn't like what it said, Jerry. I'm being really honest now. That's why they didn't adopt it. They all got a copy, but they didn't like what it said.
but if it's not been adopted, then I, as a council officer, couldn't provide a report that's not been adopted by council. Do you understand where we are from a formal point of view on that?
No, I don't actually. I don't agree with that. I think you should still use that information because it was valid information at the time. And it was the public and visitors who contributed to that. And so basically what you're saying is all of that information and all of their comments are worthless. That's what it says to me.
That's not what I've said at all.
Well, that's what it feels like. And if you ask members of the public who contributed to that, I think they will probably say the same thing, that they feel as if they wasted their time.
Okay.
Sorry, I'll shut up about it now, Chair, but I've got my point over, and I just think it should be taken into account.
Chair, just to emphasise, please, if I may, Chair, the agreement from the placemaking group was to accept the consultation which we carried out last summer. That's what was agreed to, and that was taken forward based on the information that you as a statutory group, the Placemaking and Exmouth Town and Seafront group, agreed to at your workshop last April, and then we took to the public for their consultation over the summer months. That's the agreement that we made. I believe it was the 10th of October.
Okay, now I'm going to intervene here because I think we need to understand that we have a whole range of different views about what we want to do on the seafront and the town. We've been going through this for a long time. Some of the views that were put forward were inappropriate, and some decisions were made that we're still, I think, dealing with the consequence of, and we need to think about what we need for the future. I absolutely take on board all the issues that were raised by you, Councillor Armstrong, because I also experienced people telling me about what they wanted. Unfortunately, events took place where we can't turn the clock back. And that's a very, very sad point of view. Decisions were made that have had implications that are with us today. We've also gone through a pandemic, which has had a huge impact, I think, upon the way in which people either use the seafront or view how they might trade on the seafront. We also need to think about how we can benefit and help the town progress and move forward. We've had a consultation which was completely open, and I think that is a major achievement for this council to do. We actually sat and listened to what people said. We did not tell them what we as a council wanted. We listened to what people told us, and we're acting upon what people have told us. And I think that's a really, really important point. And I think now we are at a very good point where we have consultants who are going to take away what we have said and what residents have said. There is no preconceived, behind closed doors wish or drive. It is completely open. It is completely transparent. And I think that's a very important point, and something that as a group, I think we should be quite proud of, frankly. Okay, thank you. Moving on, Councillor Bailey, Aurora.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Jerry, for your report. Obviously, I come from things at a different angle. I've been on this committee from the word go and before it, and I will say the site looks a lot tidier, and we have done a few things. We've updated the tables last year. We put some bike racks in, but I'm looking at, I know you're going to say the dinosaur park. I went to all the consultations in 2022 and everybody mentioned the dinosaur park. Can I have some assurance from this group, because as we're going into the elections at the beginning of May 23, that the park will remain, because everything on this site is temporary. I wondered as a group whether this park could be permanent on that site. It doesn't have to stay where it is, Chair and Jerry. It could move somewhere else on the site, but some assurance that that park will not go. And also, while we're mentioning things, on phase 3, we were doing the Coach Watch Tower and Harbourview Cafe. Is that going to remain in this project? What I'm worried about is with all the new elections coming in May, there'll be all different officers maybe, and different people on this group. if it's going to be the group. And also the events grass, as I mentioned before, because nobody's interested in it, could we not move the dinosaur park onto this grass area and make it bigger so that we could involve not only the young children in the park, but the older children who have got nowhere to go much in Exmouth, for their well-being, as I mentioned heaps of times. And my worry is, you know, what's going to happen to the Coach Watch Tower and Harbourview Cafe. The Coach Watch Tower have now included Budley Soderton in their watch, and they do an amazing job on the seafront. And, you know, we don't want to lose them, do we? Are they going to be somewhere in this process, please? Thank you, Jerry, and thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Jerry, did you want to respond to that? Yes, okay, good.
Chair, again, just to reiterate, as officers, it's not our role to rule anything in or anything out. Okay, the approach that we've used is based on the consultation exercise which we undertook, and the all development sites, I say development site, all sites that are available on Exmouth Seafront and in Exmouth Town were included in the local development plan. That included, for example, all of the car parks. You'll recall that discussion from last, I believe it was last March or April time. So included in that is obviously Queen's Drive, obviously is Harbourview Cafe, the Coast Watch Tower. We've had a considerable engagement both with Harbourview and with the NCI. They have put forward a potential design for a new facility there. Again, that will be passed on to the consultants, but we're not trying to preempt the outcome of the placemaking plan. So we're not ruling anything in or ruling anything out, Chair. And I think it's really, really, really important that you know that. And I know how engaged Ashley is in the process because he listens very, very carefully. The purpose of this is to come with a fresh set of eyes based on the most up-to-date consultation that we did. And that's the approach that's being used, Chair.
Thank you very much. That's very important. But going back to Councillor Bailey, if I may, I do absolutely support what you're saying. I think it's common sense as a resident, as a ward member, as a grandparent who takes his grandkids down there. These are absolutely essential functions of a seaside and a seafront. So I would be very surprised if those items were not somewhere within the plan. I think your suggestion about moving Dinosaur Park back to the event space is a very sensible one. It's one that occurred to me in the past, but we need to go through the process of the consultation. We will have time. There will be time to talk to Ashley and his colleagues about what we want and what we think is important. Please be assured that will happen, and you will be able to put your points and your views across, and your wishes exactly the same as any other councillor, as any other resident. Okay, it is completely open, it is completely transparent, and that's the really important point. I think there are no hidden agendas here. I want to stress that it is open and transparent. So please be assured that you will be listened to. I hope that reassures you. Thank you. Okay, Councillor Jeff Young. Jeff, please.
Thank you, Chair. I just need some clarity on a couple of issues. With the Levelling Up Fund, it's been discussed, but I think we need a bit more clarity on where we are with the two projects. As far as I understand, there is planning permission for Deanham Way, and all the designs have been put in and accepted. And most planning permissions, I think, are live for 3 years, and I have a feeling that this has got a longer period than 3 years, because it was just about 3 years ago, maybe more, that the planning permission was granted for that. But the gateway area, which is in front of the station and around the roundabout there, I believe that's got to have permission, and obviously there's got to be consultation on that. And we need to separate those two issues out, that one's got permission, it doesn't need any consultation, but the other one does. With regarding the Jurassic Park, I remember that when it was put in as temporary, and it was agreed at the time that if we do find a better permanent use for that area, then that equipment would then be used in other locations within Exmouth. And there was no clarity or where that would be. With regarding the Coastwatch tower, we did have a meeting, one of these meetings where it was discussed, and we felt that it was imperative that that facility should remain. Obviously, that they're outgrown that tower, and we would like to provide them with something that is better, and I believe they've come up with a design. It's imperative for safety on the beaches and on the coast, and as Councillor Bailey says, that they're taking on the responsibilities not only for Exmouth Beach, but they've got cameras up the estuary now, and they've got cameras at Budley Salterton. So it's a very key safety issue for our coastline. So as far as I'm concerned, as portfolio holder for our beaches, we need it, and I would hate anyone to get the impression that we're going to lose it. But I can't speak for after May, because someone else might come in and tell us it's a silly idea. But as far as I'm concerned, we've got to keep it, and it's imperative that we keep it. Thank you.
I don't think it's a silly idea at all. I think it's absolutely part and parcel of the seafront and part of Exmouth culture. And as a portfolio holder for tourism, I would certainly argue very strongly for that. You know, we are very fortunate indeed to have that facility, and also must give thanks to those volunteers who run it. I think that would be very unlikely that we would lose it. Indeed, I certainly, as a board member, wouldn't want to see that happen at all. Okay, right. So moving on. Thank you for that, Jeff. Councillor Chris Wright. Chris.
Thank you, Chair. To be fair, both yourself and Councillor Young have picked up on a number of the issues I was going to raise. I think picking up on the comments from Councillor Bailey, it would be absolutely foolish of us to prejudge where any configuration of anything on the Queen's Drive site prior to the work that the consultant's going to undertake. However, I completely agree that the area of the former play park would make far more sense if we were going to retain some sort of play equipment. It's the less visible, it's the less commercially viable, and it's the sort of location on that site that you're going to probably go to and spend a reasonable amount of time in. So with hindsight, it probably would have made letting of the site as a whole far better if that had initially gone there. But you know, as I think we all know, we can't turn back time, and we have what we have. With respect to the exercise space, I'm pleased that we have a reliable operator in there, and I wish LED all the best. You know, we constantly look to try and improve mental health, fitness, and all those sorts of things. So open space on our seafront is in fact a very positive thing, and I certainly hope that it proves a success for them. You speak to any groups, rugby, football, all those sorts of things, they're crying out for open grass space to be able to use. So hopefully, you know, with LED's provision of what they're able to do there, it'll be a real positive. So I think as frustrating as it may have been for some of us with decisions of the past, now is the time to hopefully get some new ideas, take them forward. And that isn't to throw the baby out with the bathwater. And I'm sure there will always be a provision, as it was when the initial dinosaur park went in. It's always going to be used, if not on that site, somewhere else, because that's a huge investment of council money. So I think it's time to try and ensure that whatever happens on that site is viable, sustainable, and doesn't actually mean that every 12 months we're having to do the same work again, but does actually happen. You know, I think a lot of us will be frustrated by that, but we've had various outside influences beyond all of our control in terms of the environment we've been living in for the last 5 years. Reliable operators are very tough to find on a short-term basis. So hopefully they will, with the new consultants on board, they'll come up with a plan that can take Queen's Drive forward and actually, in some respects, put it to bed so that we have something that is established as a long-term opportunity on the seafront. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed, Chris. Absolutely agree with what you've just said there. And I think also, finally, we need to think about that Exmouth is known as a seafront, a seaside town, and we are in competition with other towns locally. People keep reminding me of how interesting Teignmouth now is these days. Well, fine. If we're in competition with Teignmouth, that's great. I'll take that on, and we'll see what we can come up with and make Exmouth more attractive than Teignmouth. And that's hopefully what our consultation will give us. So thank you very much indeed, Chris. I see I'm just checking, is there nobody else? The hand raised, I'm just checking that. Okay, thank you very much indeed. Right, okay, so thank you very much indeed for that, Jerry. So moving on, agenda item 6, placemaking consultants appointment. Okay, Jerry, once again, please.
Chair, no formal report. It was really just to outline what the next steps were. So Ashley will be hopefully in contract within the next week or so. We will have our pre-contract meeting to discuss, and then we will be bringing forward initial thoughts to the placemaking group in, I suspect it will be June, July, just depending on where we are with appointments to cabinet and what have you following the elections. From there, we have a time frame of about 6 to 7 months based on Ashley's configuration and our submission. That, of course, will to an extent be dictated by our meetings, where we take things to cabinet, and also where we take things to full council in due course. So really, it was just to assure members that we're making progress here, and hopefully then, subject to budget, we'll move to the implementation phase next year, at least the commencement of it.
Okay, thank you very much indeed. I don't see anybody with their hands raised, so I will say on behalf of the group, Ashley, welcome to the group, welcome to East Devon, and specifically welcome to Exmouth, one of the finest places on God's earth, without any doubt whatsoever. So we absolutely look forward to working with you, and we look forward to meeting with you, where you will get a full flavour. You might have had a slight flavour of it now, but you will certainly get a full flavour of the sorts of views that people want to see for the future of Exmouth and the seafront. Okay. Right.
Thank you.
Okay, so so there are no further questions. Excuse me, there are no further questions. So that will now bring our meeting to an end, and I would like to thank everyone for their attendance. May I remind everyone that until the supporting officer confirms that we're no longer live, your comments will be heard and recorded.